Yep, I hear you. You hear me?
It's a warm evening in the late spring in Rochester, New York, and two hot teams come into this one. The Rochester Rhinos hosting Ottawa Fury FC, the first ever meeting between these new rivals. Alongside former MLS player Albert Munoz, I'm Matt Peterson. Well, Albert, Rochester, a very tired team playing their third game in 8 days, and a tough task for Bob Lilly and his team tonight.
Absolutely. Matt, pleasure to be here. As we see here, and we know, Rochester's coming very, very tired. I mean, they're playing so many games in 1 week. It's Bob Lilly's challenge to make sure that they're mentally and physically ready to get the job done today.
Both teams come into this one in good form, and Rochester unbeaten in their last 7 games, although they did lose midweek against New England in the Open Cup. Now the starting lineup first for Ottawa Fury FC. Under Paul Dalgleish, it's a 3-4-3 formation, and a lot of respect for his opposite head coach, Bob Lilly, tonight. 3 of his starters he took from Rochester: Dos Santos, his captain Roseboom, and Obasi.
definitely gives them an edge. I mean, understanding that those players who formerly came from that system from Rochester, they're very familiar with the team. So it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to be efficiently playing tonight with Dos Santos up top, with Sione coming off as our player to watch. He's going to be interesting to link up with the midfielders Roseboom and Dixon.
All right, now for Rochester, it's been squad rotation. The two words, the name of the game for Bob Lilly. 5 changes in the team tonight. Wallfall sits underneath the midfield 4.
Wallfall, Canarder Forbes, also our player to watch, along with Graf. They create this tripod in the midfield, a very attacking and possessive team. They're always making sure that they keep the ball opened up to the flanks, but most likely they're going to be looking for their midfield forte between Forbes and Wallfall to touch up for Graf in the scoring opportunities.
Graf comes in up top in a rotation with Madison. He scored last week at Tampa. A warm night in upstate New York, and we'll have kickoff when we come back from Capelli Sports Stadium.
Generation at Ralph Honda.
A beautiful new showroom, a new state-of-the-art service department, and the same great service we're famous for.
We invite you to come in and visit our new Next Generation dealership. Come on, treat yourself to Ralph.
Focus. It's hard to keep. Everybody wants a piece of you. So don't lose it. Take your time. Work hard. Don't give up. And when your moment comes, breathe through and focus.
When I sprained my left knee, they did so much to help me at
Lattimore Physical Therapy.
With 20 locations throughout Monroe and Livingston County, pain relief is never more than minutes away. Same-day appointments available. Most insurance accepted. Call 1-888-PT-ROCHS.
Lattimore Physical Therapy.
Call Wonder Windows. Get the news about those high cost, condensating, energy wasting window blues.
Get better windows at better prices. Save $100 on entry doors, $200 on sliding glass doors, and $500 on bay and bow windows. Call now for instant rebates or free triple pane upgrades.
Call Wonder Windows. They'll cure your blues. Stop those high cost, condensating, energy wasting window blues. Yeah.
Welcome to the Next Generation at Ralph Honda.
A beautiful new showroom, a new state-of-the-art service department, and the same great service we're famous for.
We invite you to come in and visit our new Next Generation dealership. Come on, treat yourself to Ralph.
Capelli Sports Stadium in Rochester, set for the Rochester Rhinos hosting Ottawa Fury FC. First time these teams have ever faced as Ottawa comes over to the USL from the NASL. Two teams that are red hot. Ottawa has won 3 of their last 4. Rochester unbeaten in 7 straight, and they've allowed 1 goal or less in 6 of those 7. Albert Munoz, this is one of the best teams at home, best teams home and road the last few years in the USL, the Rochester Rhinos.
As we were discussing before, I'm very high on Rochester. I've called several of their games. I'm really high on a couple of their midfielders. Wall, Forbes combine really well. It's a force in the USL. They touch well. They keep possession. They have momentum, which is more important. So we're likely to see a lot of, obviously, home game activity, a lot of attacking play, creativity from this Rochester team today.
Well, Rochester sitting in 6th place at the start of today, 17 points from 10 games. They played 3 or 4 games fewer than some of the teams they're chasing in the Eastern Conference. Ottawa comes in 1 place behind Rochester, although they've played 1 more game, 16 points from 11 games. So both these teams in the playoff places with some games in hand, but they need to take care of business. Ottawa should be the more rested team. They didn't play a midweek game, whereas Rochester's had a brutal schedule. They had to go on a 2-game road trip to Florida. They spent a week in the Sunshine State, and they got draws against Orlando City B, and the Tampa Bay Rowdies. They flew home to Rochester for one day before going to Providence on Wednesday for the Open Cup game against New England, and they had to play the final 50 minutes down a man after the second yellow to Joseph Ferrell. So for Bob Lilly, it's all about being mentally and physically prepared with this team tonight. Well, that definitely takes a toll. I mean, once players play so many games within 1 week, it's very important that their coaching staff make sure that they have their shuffle. It's important to have depth in the team. So it will reflect on tonight's performance. Hopefully they keep possession and they make the ball work for them. But on the flip side, Ottawa, as it's more of a fresh team, they're looking to obviously be attacking and be very energetic right off the start to be able to make an impact and potentially get a goal here away. Ottawa in white, Rochester in green. We are just about set to go. And underway from Rochester, referee Laurent Varga. And you saw the unique start to the game for Ottawa. They had 5 or 6 guys on the left side of midfield to really push forward right off the bat. Yeah, I mean, it really shows that they really, want to make an impact in the first couple of seconds. A long ball initially played in, try to get, obviously, some kind of momentum and potentially get off a shot, which usually creates a lot of confidence in the beginning for Ottawa. Ottawa starting quickly, but Rochester back in numbers. It's been one of those typical seasons now for the Rochester Rhinos, who have gotten off to some unbelievable starts and long unbeaten streaks in USL over the last few years, as Ottawa possesses. They lost 5-0 at Charleston April 15th, have not lost since. Had a come-from-behind win against New York Red Bulls 2 for a 2-2 draw the following week. That's the last time they've given up 2 goals in a game. In their last 4 games at home, 3 shutouts. So it's been a very tough defense to crack. And they look to bounce back after a 3-0 loss in the Open Cup to New England. Well, typically speaking, when Rochester really gets in their groove, I mean, understandably, they're a little jet-lagged, obviously. They're tired. But when they're in their groove, they're definitely a dangerous and powerhouse team. They have so much creativity in the midfield and their attackers that they're constantly pressuring. And like you mentioned, their defensive line is intact. They're very, very sturdy in the back. They bring a lot of strength, obviously, and a lot of confidence. So put it together, their attacking prowess and their defensive work makes them a very dangerous team. There's Tomas Gomez from Mexico, 24 years of age, a star at Georgetown. See how the formations clash early on. It was a 4-1-4-1 to start for Rochester, a 3-4-3 for Ottawa. But as Bob Lilly's told us, that 4-1-4-1 can change. He can drop one of the midfield 4 into a second defensive midfield role. Well, it shows their versatility, and they're typically going to do that. And they've done it in the past, in the last games I've seen. Garzi usually slips back and matches up well with Fall, letting Forbes be very creative, letting him go forward. And last game, the last couple of games between the last 2 weeks, Forbes usually ended up top. They almost played him as a third attacker, which shows his versatility. So it's very interesting and entertaining play on the Rochester side. Here comes the Rhinos. Dover pushing forward. Cross at the near post, and it's caught there by Irving. It spills over the end line. Is it a corner kick to Rochester? You see Irving pleading his case, and the young Canadian, in the end, positions his fielder. So it's Irving, the 24-year-old, off to a good start after a great season last year with Rio Grande Valley FC. And the first corner kick of this game, Stefan DeFreger takes it. Low and cleared by Ottawa. In the past, Rochester has been very, very effective with their attacking set pieces. They're always continuously making corner kicks, very, very dangerous plays. That's how Fall has scored a couple of goals in the past, through deflections. So it's important that they take advantage early on, being that they're tired, being that they're legged, they're jet-lagged. It's important that take advantage of their forte, which is set pieces. Forbes, Wall, they come in for the headers, or sometimes Forbes takes the free kicks. Exceptional set piece artists that we have on this team. Ottawa hasn't played since last weekend. They won 1-0 over Harrisburg City Islanders. Cito Sione scored once again. Could have had 2, but a goal that was over the line was not counted. Play continued, and an aggrieved Ottawa team came back and got a goal in the second half through Cito to win. They also drew at Bethlehem the week prior and had a 5-3 win against Richmond at home. That's their highest scoring game of late, as you see Groff run out of space on the near side. Groff scored at Tampa Bay just 5 minutes in last week, forced a turnover against the Tampa Bay center back and then scored. Very entertaining game at Tampa. He didn't play at New England. It's been a rotation for Rochester head coach Bob Lilly between Groff and Darius Madison. So one of the fresher players on this team comes in up front, the Texas native Johan Groff.
Entertaining matchup here between Groff and Madison with the interchangeability that they have. I've seen Madison in the past, very dangerous player, speedy, strength, powerful shot. And as we mentioned before, Rochester has the ability to interchange their players because of the depth they have. So it's very important to see what Groff can bring into this table, and then potentially towards the end of the game, switch him up with Madison. And going past and speaking about the strikers, Cito Sione, enlightening to see that he's also a former Miamian. I'm Miamian, so it's great to see that a local player came up here and is playing in the USL. So that's congratulatory on his end.
Corner kick taking a lot of good set piece options. That one was taken by Cito. Put back in the mix, and Rochester deals with it well. It's one of the specialties for Paul Dalglish, what he wants his team to be known for. They're very good on set pieces, have a ton of size on this team. Several players 6'3" and taller. Ryan Williams stood over it as well. He is another set piece specialist. More of a right-footed option. Cito is a good left-footed option. Bruna not starting tonight. The Argentine, another good left-footed option as Rochester pushes forward. So here we are, 6 minutes in. Matt Peterson with Albert Munoz. And a pretty even start between these two sides.
I'd say so. I mean, they're both somewhat playing energetic. They're holding for possession. They're trying to obviously let their legs get acclimated to the game. And like you said, the formation. They're trying to obviously get some kind of a rhythm going with the ball. Ottawa has set the tone early on to try to get a couple of strikes in, potentially on frame, some set pieces as we see here. And Rochester's going to play a little bit more on the defensive side. They have a lot of midfielders in the midfield. They play obviously very defensive, but then they play the counter. So we'll see how that develops moving on.
Here is Ryan Williams to take that corner kick. 2 assists and 2 goals this season. Was the Ottawa Fans Player of the Year last season. First corner of the night for Ottawa. And that's easily clear, but not all the way out. Kept alive by a Rose Boom. And get out back towards the corner. And Ottawa patiently builds. A little too long for Dos Santos, although he hustles to try to run it down against his former team. Steven Dos Santos gets the start tonight. 21 goals in 48 games in all competitions with Rochester before signing with Ottawa this year. There's 3 former Rochester players in this Ottawa starting lineup. And Paul Dalglish didn't hide his admiration for Bob Lilly and the Rochester team. He said, this is a measuring stick for me and our team to go up against Bob Lilly's team.
That's motivation. That just gives them that incentive to play harder, to play smarter, knowing that they have to develop and potentially get to that level, even though they could easily say, hey, we're better than Rochester. We're there. We're obviously playing. We're going to be competitive. We have fresher legs. They're tired. We're not. Why not take advantage early on and try to get a goal and potentially change this game around at home for them?
There's Callum Irving sprinting off his line. A Vancouver native clears it. A series of headers settled in midfield by Wallfall.
You mentioned Wall's performance in the last couple of games. He's been exceptional with his endurance. He's been playing full 90 games back to back, and he's a player that's potentially going to have to be very conservative to make sure he prevents his injuries, and obviously he keeps possession. Obviously he keeps mentally strong in the game, because it takes a toll. I have to say, Matt, playing 3 games in a row, obviously 90 minutes, that takes a toll on your legs.
Restarted by Eddie Edward, the versatile player, was a center forward last week in the win over Harrisburg City. And also play right back. He's the right midfielder, more of a wing back in the 3-4-3 for Paul Dalglish this evening. Well, for Bob Lilly, it's maybe a bit of a lackluster start, but he sort of expected this. He told us by phone this week his biggest concern is the physical and emotional energy that they've spent in the last 5 games. As Wallfall clears.
It's very concerning. Sorry to interrupt. It's very important that they keep possession. Players like Conardo Forbes are the go-to players. Those are the ones you want the ball at his feet at all times, because he knows how to hold, he knows how to slow the game down, and he'll more importantly dictate the pace.
Andre Campbell does well. The Jamaican draws a foul near the corner, so in essence a short corner coming for Ottawa. His first year with the Fury, 18 games with Orange County Blues last year. Had a 3-game suspension after a red card against Toronto FC, so back in the lineup, did well there. Now a set-piece opportunity in Ottawa. You see the size across the field, Albert. This is some tough matchups for Rochester.
It's inevitable for them. I mean, Rochester obviously really needs to get up there in the air. If this is a well-played ball, which hopefully it is in swinger, you really have the attack here potentially for a goal.
It was Williams to deliver. Good clearing header from Groff, and it's caught in the end by Tomas Gomez. So another part of having Groff in the lineup as the center forward. He's good at defending set pieces. He had the vital clearing header there.
He's very versatile. I mean, it's very important. And also players like Wallfall, who's right smack in the center of the field, but he's a very great defensive man, obviously in the air. He's scored goals with headers in the past, I mean, in the last seasons. And like I said again, he's such a complete player, along with Conardo Forbes, that they're dangerous in the midfield for Rochester.
Here comes Jalen Brown. Nice work from Roseboom against his former team. But one back by Rochester. Wallfall, who played 90 minutes Wednesday at New England, 90 minutes at Tampa Bay. One of the few who's played every minute in the last week. Here's Forbes.
And knowing him, he's most likely going to play 90 minutes today. He's rarely pulled out of the game unless he's having an off night, which is obviously very rare. And he's such an important player for Rochester. He's pivotal in the midfield. He's a two-way player. He scores, he defends. It's really difficult for Rochester to have him subbed out.
Sione lost it. He was asking for a foul, but Rochester in good shape. This is Bradley Camden Faywo, the left back today. Bob Lilly's very pleased with his depth in the back. He said players like Camden, who was a more regular starter last year, coming off the bench more this season, as there's good competition in all 4 of the places. Nice work from Rochester, but a corner kick won in the end. That challenge came from Andre Campbell.
Corner kick brought to you by Sports Medicine.
Now Rochester has a corner.
Typical play of Rochester. I mean, they attack, they're aggressive, they create opportunities, and this man here, Forbes, is usually the one that capitalizes on the corner kicks and set pieces. He has an exceptional right foot. He knows how to place it in dangerously, so hopefully this capitalizes for Rochester.
Into the middle, well defended, still alive. A scrum on the edge of the 6. And it's claimed at the back by Callum Irving. Irving has played every minute this season. 4 shutouts. As we take a look at the replay.
Forbes has a connection with Wallfall. We all know that. But he essentially looked for his head here. So he crossed that ball well. Wallfall made a connection with it. Fortunately, he was blocked. This is going to be typical and recurring for Rochester throughout the game.
14th minute from Rochester. The Rhinos nothing, Ottawa Fury FC nothing. First meeting between these teams. Rochester looking to extend its unbeaten streak to 8 games. Ottawa comes in unbeaten in 3. Good work from Rochester. Space in the corner. Serve to the back post. The runs came towards the near post. Forbes picks it up. Forbes beyond Groff. So a good spell there from Rochester, who really absorbed pressure the first 10 minutes and are now on the front foot.
Absolutely, and they're not showing any weakness or tiredness so far. In the first few minutes, as you see in this replay, beautiful cross. Canardo controlled it perfectly. Great intention to curve that ball. It was a cross shot, hybrid of both. Either way, it's dangerous. This is what Rochester needs to continue to do, and this is what they continuously do when they have possession on the ball.
Callum Irving made his debut for the Canada senior national team in January against Bermuda. A 4-2 win. There's Wallfall. Bradley Camden Faywo. Jalen Brown. DeFreger. To an overlapping, and the cross caught there by Irving. So Rochester continuing to push forward and test Callum Irving in the Ottawa defense.
Not showing a lot of signs of tiredness. These players are continuously energetic. They're obviously holding the ball, they're making their runs, they're opening up the field well, holding possession, and consequently they're creating attacking plays against Ottawa. Ottawa seems to be holding back. They're playing a little bit defensive, cautious. They need to be more energetic, more conclusive going forward, aggressive against Rochester and take advantage of their weakness at the moment. But they're not doing it. Hopefully they step up and they take advantage of those moments.
Forbes with DeFreger. Ottawa thought it was out right in front of their bench, but referee Laurent Varga says play on. Jalen Brown pinching into the middle. Brown, another one of the rested players. He did not play Wednesday at New England. The match held at Providence, a 3-0 loss, but Bob Lilly was pleased with his performance in that game. He thought they were maybe the more ascendant team in the first 35 minutes or so, but a really, really questionable second yellow against Joseph Ferrell. As Bob Lilly said, it probably wasn't even a foul, but it was not only a foul, but a second yellow. Joseph Ferrell, one of his most important players, sent off, and then a few minutes later, Wallfall called for a foul in the box that looked to be a much better call. 1-0 New England on a penalty. Poorly cleared corner kick made it 2-0 for the Revolution, and then a missed clearance once again for Rochester, and it was 3-0 New England, but he was really pleased with the effort. He said it was really a mental challenge the last 30 minutes or so, down 3-0, and how they responded.
Well, he must be pleased. I mean, all these USL teams who are playing the Open Cup against MLS teams, there's been several surprises around the league. So it's not just them, and it's happening. Obviously, these both leagues are coming together as one. Obviously, all these players are, some of them obviously come in and go and play in different levels. They come back to the USL and vice versa. And the play reflects, the quality reflects in this league. The USL is obviously exceptional. The talent is there, the quality is there. So absolutely, Bob Lilly needs to be excited about these 35-minute spells where they're taking over MLS teams. It just reflects the level and quality of their team and their efforts going into these games.
That was DeFreger working well with Forbes. Now Forbes takes the corner towards the spot, and it's headed in. 1-0 Rhinos in the 19th minute. And it's Ryan Felix, his first of the season.
Absolutely beautiful, beautiful corner kick. And Felix with the header. He came in exceptionally placed, jumped well, made connection with the ball, and placed it in the upper 90. Exceptional set piece play here by Rochester. This is what they want. This is what they do. They're 1-0 up. Not against, obviously, a team that's obviously not as energetic as they are. They are making sure that they're capitalizing on their opportunities, and now they're going to keep possession on the ball. A couple of plays back, I was going to mention that they're playing to a 2-touch maximum. It looks like they're really opening up the field and playing smartly, intelligently, and making sure that they preserve their energy.
Well, Felix, one of those who's played every minute this week, 90 minutes Wednesday at New England, also 90 minutes at Tampa, but enough left in the legs to rise and really easily win that header, almost unchallenged.
Beautifully struck header, exceptional header. That's what you want for your midfielders and defenders, to make sure that they get up in the air and capitalize on corner kick set pieces. They practice week after week. I'm sure Bernardo Forbes hangs out with Wall and Felix after practice, and they make sure that they capitalize on repetitions. And that's exceptionally important for tall players, to make sure that they emphasize that in their game and they score goals.
It's an early birthday present for Ryan Felix, the Los Angeles native. He'll turn 24 on Wednesday, so he has his first goal of the season tonight. His first Rhinos goal, spent the last couple seasons with the Orange County Blues. Before that, 2 years with FC Tucson. And when he signed, assistant coach Mark Pulisic said he's very good in the air. That was one of the talents they talked about when they signed him, and you could see it there. Really calm header for about 8 yards out. Here come Rochester looking for number 2. Bernardo Forbes. Back to Camden. Crafty little shot, and Irving makes sure to keep it in front of his line.
Now this is what Rochester has yielded. They have patience now. They're able to hold the ball. They're actually able to, preserve some energy. They have to be very important, and as you see, these are attempts, they're creative, so they don't have the pressure that they would have as a tied game or obviously on a deficit. But now, very important to keep the ball, try to get another goal in, continuously preserve energy, make sure that injuries are prevented, and then hopefully Bob Lilly's tactic to make sure that rotation is there. They'll probably get a couple substitutes and then potentially keep preserving their players for the next couple of games.
That's the 3rd assist this season for Bernardo Forbes. He had a corner kick delivery. Dalglish thought there was a foul. And referee Lauren Varga lets them play. Rochester now down this left side. Bradley Camden. Camden into the area. Good strength. Low cross. Groff well defended there, and Ottawa clears.
Great run there by Camden. He just penetrated the defense very easily down the left flank. Typical play of Camden. He's very dangerous, makes good crosses and exceptional opportunities. Ottawa's looking very, very conservative with their touch here. They're trying to regain possession. I mean, they had it for the first few minutes, but Rochester really turned it up with their goal. And now players like Forbes, when they grab the ball, they bring their flair and they create opportunities. So for Ottawa, it's a matter of holding the ball, trying to get the ball and create.
5th straight league game in which Rochester has scored first. They obviously fell behind Wednesday at New England, a 3-0 loss, but they scored first at Tampa last week. Groff scoring 5 minutes in. Correa scored in the 25th minute at Orlando City B on June 7th. They beat FC Cincinnati at home 1-0 at the start of June. They also beat Tampa Bay 1-0 in May. So it's been a lot of low-scoring games for Rochester, but with this stout defense, 1 goal has often been enough.
Right, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters. I mean, if your team's playing well, if they're holding possession, if they're making sure that they're congruent on their chances, a 1-0 game is all that matters. It's all you need, right, Matt? So kudos to them that they're taking opportunities and it's coming into fruition. It doesn't really matter how many goals you score. It's just as long as you play well, you keep your obviously goals against low, and you're scoring. That's the dream.
Good switching ball finds Brown. He's well defended on the edge of the area. Ottawa will concede a throw-in.
Now, we had mentioned earlier about Cito Sione being one of the players to watch and coming off as one of the goals, but in going through this replay here, yeah, that was a fair tackle here by Ottawa. But going back to Cito Sione, we were expecting a lot from him, obviously. He's a player that's obviously been highlighted and touted as an exceptional talent. He really needs to step into this game, pick up the ball, show his worth, you know, show some possession and maybe some creativity. I think he's going to spearhead a potential goal from Ottawa. But if not, then obviously it's going to be a team effort. But maybe his individualities will come into play in the second half.
Long spell of possession here for the Rhinos. They push forward with Jordan Dover, the right back, with DeFreger. Wallfall, excellent passing from the Rhinos. Now it's Groff. Good work to keep it alive, but his pass doesn't make it to DeFreger, and now Ottawa can clear. There's Ferrell chesting it down. He was sent off 40th minute. Very, very dubious second yellow given. But it was a learning lesson for the Rhinos as their Open Cup run came to an end.
Now, Matt, another factor that could be taken into play today would be the fact that they're playing at home, Rochester. Having your home crowd behind you, it's such an important factor to emphasize when you're looking at a team.
Here's Forbes into the area. Defended by Obasi. Crossed by Dover, big clearing header.
Right, so essentially when you're playing at home, it's such a huge important factor to make sure that your players are in tune, they're sharp, they're playing for their fans. It makes such a difference. I mean, it makes you forget that you might be playing your third game in 6 days. It really does help you mentally focus on what's on hand. So this is another factor that could be taking play today for Rochester.
Good defensive header. But Ottawa just cannot maintain possession. It's almost a training drill the last 5 or 10 minutes for Rochester, keeping the ball on the offensive end as Felix does not like the call, and Felix will go in the book.
Get up, Jesus.
Looking at this replay, it was a fair play. First, great tackle, some rough play, but yeah, Felix got carded there. I mean, Felix needs to be careful now. He's obviously his team's winning. They need to make sure that they're obviously conservative with their fouls, especially in the middle of the park. There's really no need.
Do you think that was a yellow card worthy challenge?
That's tough to tell. I would say not in my eyes, but I'm not the referee, thankfully.
There's Callum Irving. He wanted to get back to Canada, said it was a dream to come back at this early stage in his career after a wonderful college career at Kentucky and then 1 year at Rio Grande Valley. There's not that many opportunities to play professionally in Canada, so for a native son like Callum Irving to come home and gets to work with a former Liverpool legend and Bruce Grobbelaar, 6 English titles in the 1984 European Cup. And Paul Dalglish talked about Irving learning from Bruce and really working on his command of the back line, coming out for crosses. A huge selling point, I'm sure, when you're making the pitch for the young goalkeeper to come home.
Of course. You mentioned this before. I mean, it's priceless opportunity for a young goalkeeper and a player in general to have such experienced mentors in sports, and obviously you're going to want to have obviously someone to look up to, someone that can teach you the ropes, someone who has experience, someone who has 6 titles in the English Premier League. It's just priceless opportunities for him to come and learn.
So now Ottawa finally gets a good spell of possession, although they're not a real possession team, and Paul Dalglish is not shy to talk about that. If you look at the numbers game by game, they're oftentimes 40, 60, even 30, 70 without possession. But the way this team is built, you look at the personnel, they don't necessarily need the ball to be effective. And he says, I want to play a way that wins. And the teams he compares it to are the 2006 and 2007 Dynamo teams that won back-to-back MLS Cup titles.
Right. I mean, whatever works for your team is what's going to be used as a strategy. I mean, it doesn't have to be a possession strategy. It could very be a counterattack strategy. It's very easily said that if you score goals, no matter how you score goals, that's all that matters. I mean, at the end of the day, if your team plays the long ball style and your attacker is so possessive on the ball and holds it well and knows how to score and penetrates every chance he has, then in reality, possession is not that important.
Well, here's something you might not expect, although we are getting towards late June in Rochester. It's 89 degrees with some humidity. So another thing that might help out Rochester and favor them, there's Bob Lilly, the longtime head coach of the Rhinos, giving instructions to his team. He told me on a call this week, they're growing as a possession team, which will help them later this year when they go down to the more southern teams in USL. Having the ball will help. So here we go with a hydration break right on the half-hour mark.
It's interesting you say that they're growing as a possession team. I say they're a possession team. they have that steadfast 5 midfielder role that's headed by Fall and Forbes. They're always holding the ball. They're always trying to create in the midfield. They're always trying to hold the ball. Even if it's not prudent to go forward, they hold it and they come back. They center the ball. I mean, there's as seen here in this replay. I mean, they're players that can create set pieces and will score goals ultimately from a possession play, create an attack, create a corner kick set piece, and then finish with a corner kick.
Bob Lilly is very pleased with where his team is. He says they need to be more clinical in the final third. That was one of the big talking points, was replacing the production of Steven Dos Santos and Valesky, 2 of their big goal scorers last year. But they've got a nice swath of production from several different players. Some of their defenders chip in like Ryan Felix tonight. Wallfall has 3 goals. Mike Garzi, 2 goals. Forbes, 2 goals. Groff has a couple. Darius Madison has a few. So they're not necessarily relying on 1 or 2 forwards. It's a committee approach as we see Ottawa with a set piece here. One of their specialists, Ryan Williams, to take it. Really gained a reputation in the lower divisions of England for a set piece ability. Here he goes, Ryan Williams. That's flicked on, and Wallfall in the right place at the right time to steer it. So one by design coming from midfield.
Classy play there by Fall. I mean, he trapped the ball, a little 1-2 pass on himself. But to piggyback on what you were saying earlier about Rochester and their possession play and their midfielders, important to see how long their stamina is going to last, see how long they're going to make substitutions. I mean, they might make decisions maybe in the 60th minute. So for now in the first half, they're going to continue to hold the ball, create some opportunities, try to get 1 or 2 more goals in before half, and then make their decisions.
Great builder from Rochester. Here's Groffin behind Irving off his line, and the Canadian does well. A sliding clearance from Callum Irving. That's a very similar play to how Groff scored last week at Tampa, harassing a center back, winning the ball, and beating the goalkeeper.
They'll surprise you because they'll hold the ball well. They'll keep the ball short, the touch is short, but all of a sudden they'll give a nice long ball. They'll spray a ball to Graff or Madison, and they'll potentially get a goal in there.
You got a little brush bird, honey.
Well, there's a shot of the captain, Lance Roseboom. One of the 3 in the starting lineup that played for Bob Lilly at Rochester.
Lay on the ground crying for 20 minutes.
Roseboom in his second year with Ottawa. He was the newcomer there last year, led them with over 2,700 minutes. Had a tough start to his professional career, drafted by DC United in 2012, earned a contract, and then his first professional season tore his ACL, waived after that year, but in the lower divisions he's thrived. He spent a couple years with Rochester, was the captain of Austin Aztecs under Paul Dalglish in 2015, was the players MVP. So one big knee injury, but he's fought back and gained success now captaining Ottawa.
That's very important. That's an impressive resume. I mean, he has so much experience. Obviously, he's been working with his coach for many years.
Nodded down. Good recovery that time from Ferrell, and it's cleared by Camden. So some pressure from Ottawa there, and they throw in quickly.
Well, it really shows that they really want it before the half. I mean, they don't have less than 10 minutes before the half. They want to make sure they capitalize at least on a couple of shots on frame to potentially try to tie this game up before half.
Groff, good hold-up play. Back to Garzi. Jalen Brown, Bradley Camden.
And I believe what we mentioned about Garzi has dropped back a little bit now next to Fall as that second defensive midfielder, as that CDM, as you want to call it. But freeing up Forbes, who has ultimately been creating dangerous opportunities in the first half. So their strategy works. They want to keep at it. They want to make sure those injuries are prevented and keep it simple with the possession.
Good turn from Cito, but he's dispossessed. Nice work from Garzi there, and that's where the second defensive midfielder comes into handy.
Oh, it's so important. I mean, 'cause if you think about it, if you have 5 players in the midfield and you have Garzi playing more of an attacking role, leaving Fall to do all the dirty work, it's much more difficult. Obviously, his stamina is going to be depleted. It's better if he drops back a little bit, make sure that they keep possession. They're up by 1 goal. They have 10 minutes left. Hey, why not be a little bit more conservative? Let's be prudent. Let's hold the ball. Let's play together in the midfield. Those two will solidify that defensive role in back of Conardo Forbes, who will be left free to make any offensive chances.
Back to Tomas Gomez, the Mexican. Out wide, Joseph Ferrell, a red card Wednesday at New England, back in the starting lineup tonight. Bob Lilly praised that partnership, Joseph Ferrell and Ryan Felix, both 23 years old.
Be sure to stay up to date with the latest USL.
It's funny, we mentioned how they've been playing 3 games in a week, and we think about it. I'm 35 years old. When I was 24 years old, yes, I would be a little tired, but I think I'm going to be okay in the 3rd game. That youth component, it's priceless. You can't compare it. A 30-year-old, a 35-year-old, yes, you're going to feel it on your legs, but a 20, 22-year-old, 3-year-old, you're most likely going to be able to power through it.
Good work from Shane McElhenney, the Northern Ireland native, squeezing off Johan Groff. 38th minute from Cabelli Sports Stadium in Rochester, alongside former MLS player Albert Munoz. I'm Matt Peterson. The difference in this game, 19th minute goal from Ryan Felix, his first of the year, just a few days shy of his birthday, off a wonderful corner kick from Conardo Forbes. So Rochester looking to go 8 unbeaten as they play their games in hand. Could rise as far as 4th place with a win tonight. Leapfrogging Bethlehem Steel.
Maybe we see Conardo Forbes again creating. He's just so crafty. He has vision. He knows where the ball goes right before he hits it. So he saw his player coming down the flank, Dover, with the excellent run. Almost connected. Would have been a dangerous play. But that's the type of quality that Forbes brings to Rochester.
Another thing to think about here, Albert, is the weather. It's 77 degrees in Ottawa, where Ottawa's been training all week. So not cool by any means, but certainly not upper 80s as it is in Rochester. And the Rhinos have benefited from a week in Florida. They played in Orlando and Tampa Bay, spent the whole week in Florida, and then went to Providence midweek to play in the Open Cup. So Rochester, the home team, the team in front, has played in this sort of climate the last week or so.
It's unbelievable how that affects your play. It's very important to adjust, and that's what it takes to be a professional athlete.
Cito Seone just misses at the near post, so a great chance for the red-hot 28-year-old born in Spain, had the game winner last week for Ottawa. And his coach said he can score from any angle. He tried it here.
Absolutely, he connected well. That's an excellent strike. Left-footed, just like he likes it. Volley, chest down. Absolutely great chance for Ottawa. And you know what? 5 minutes out, that would have been the tie for the game for the first half. That would have been a huge difference for Ottawa with momentum going into the second half.
Cito Seone, the Spanish native, grew up in Miami. 6 goals in all competitions this year. 4 in the USL, 2 in the Canadian Championship. Scored against Toronto FC, the game winner in the first leg win. They upset Toronto 2-1 before the MLS team came back with a 4-0 win in their home leg.
Going back to the weather conversation, it's going to be very important for Rochester and an advantage for them because they're adjusted. They're acclimating to their weather. Ottawa is one that's going to be a little bit off because of that. Maybe the next game, if they continue to play in this weather, it'll be easier. But consecutively, it's much easier for Rochester at this point.
Dangerous backward header. Now Irving tries to head it off. Groff has not given up on this lost cause as Rochester keeps it alive, but the whole sequence began with Shane McElhenney trying to head to his center back partner Venter, but it didn't make it far enough, and Groff ran it down.
Yeah, and that just shows Groff and his aggressiveness. I mean, Rochester in general, they're pouncing on the ball. They're very, very entertaining to watch, but at the same time, defensively, they're ecstatic. They're always ready to go.
Garzi, nice layoff. Back to Garzi, edge of the area, left-footed cross. Groff, and it's played back to Irving. His clearance is blocked, makes it out to Roseboom. Another hard challenge. And that time a foul is drawn by Ryan Williams. So a free kick for Ottawa at the center circle.
Entertaining play here by Rochester. I mean, the games in general has been entertaining back and forth, but Rochester in the last play, very, very creative with their attacking mindset. Always creating something dangerous against Irvin, who's been busy today. The defensive line between Venter and McElhaney and Obazi, they're just obviously trying to continuously hold them back. But that just comes to show that Rochester, even though they're exhausted, they most likely are, they're feeling it now, their possession and their quality play has let them create these chances.
Shane McElhenney. See the strength there from the goal scorer Ryan Felix against Ryan Williams.
I'm curious to see if Bob Lilly's going to make any changes in the second half. Mostly for strategy, to rest players. Even though they're only up 1-0, anything can happen. But it's quite entertaining to see if he's going to make changes right off the bat or maybe in the 50th or 60th minute, when typically changes are done.
Stefan DeFreger does well to earn a free kick, a New England kid from Guilford, New Hampshire. As we see the possession, that's pretty typical for an Ottawa game. They're normally in that 40 to 60 deficit, but going back to what I mentioned about Paul Dalglish, he played on those Dynamo teams in 06 and 07, had a huge 2-goal game in the Western Conference final against Colorado to send the Dynamo to MLS Cup in 06. But he says his team can win off set pieces, very direct style, hard-working aggressiveness. And you look at the team he's built with the size and the set piece specialists and the work rate up front.
It works. It works. And on the flip side, it's typical possession for Rochester. They're usually in the 60-70% range. So again, I don't see anything when it comes to being exhausted affecting them so far.
Johan Graf waiting for help. Pulls it back to Bradley Camden. Kenardo Forbes. Low pass to Freger. Blocked out. Now Forbes. Deflected shot and a corner kick to Rochester.
We always get excited when Kenardo Forbes lines up for a shot. He's so dangerous on the ball, and his right foot, he would have most likely, if it wasn't intercepted, he most likely would have put that on frame. As we see the replay here, that deflection came out perfectly for him. He touched the ball, but unfortunately it was deflected. And again, unfortunately for Ottawa, we have a set piece against them now. Kenardo Forbes will hit it. They will look for the head of Wallfall again. Let's see if they can connect.
It was Felix who had the first goal, his first of the season. Wallfall is another big option. Kenardo Forbes with the delivery. Decent chance that time as it fell to Joseph Ferrell, but he couldn't get much on it, and it's claimed by Callum Irving,
who's been busy today. Rochester's really keeping him on his toes, making him sharp and aware. He needs to keep Ottawa in this game.
Irving and Tomas Gomez, the Rochester goalie, tied for second in the league with 4 shutouts apiece. Eddie Edward. Big switching ball from Jamar Dixon. Well defended out there by Jordan Dover. And DeFreger goes long. Groff now in a foot race with Venter. And Venter concedes a throw-in.
Just by the nature of his game, his style, Graf has ran a lot. He's depleted a lot of his energy. Madison is most likely the substitute that's going to be taken first to make sure that the attack is still on fire, they're hot, make sure that they rest well. So that's going to be entertaining to see in the second half if that substitute does come into fruition.
We'll have 5 minutes of time added on. If that seems like a lot, don't forget about the hydration break. That is part of the stoppage time. So a hydration break, 89 degrees at kickoff at Capelli Sports Stadium. So hydration break, and 5 minutes for Ottawa to pull a goal back or Rochester to double the lead going into the break. Tomas Gomez, a star at Georgetown, set the shutout record with 36 for the Hoyas. And was the USL Golden Glove last year. Just 11 goals against in 16 games. Rochester, year after year under Bob Lilly, one of the best defenses in the USL.
And that's so powerful, having that strength as a goalkeeper. It brings the confidence up. It makes sure that your team obviously is always going to be surrounded. And as a former player, I mean, you always want to have great attacking players, but it's so important to have that strength in the back starting from the goalkeeper. It makes a huge difference.
Gomez, originally drafted third round 2015 by Columbus Crew SC, spent that year with San Jose, previously with the US under-20 national team. All the way back to Callum Irving. Irving, 8 shutout in 14 games last year with Rio Grande Valley FC. Sione trying to clip it over the top for Williams. Shane McElhenney. Good skill on the ball. Obasi against his former team, and now a chance for Rochester to break. Brown, wide to Groff. Johan Groff expected a run from Jalen Brown, but those two were not on the same page.
Unfortunately, but I really thought that Graf was going to hit it just further, more towards the point of maximum opportunity, which could be said diagonally back. He hit it straight laterally instead of diagonally. And if Brown would have connected, that potentially would have been a very, very nice goal.
A good break from Rochester. Ottawa let off a little bit. And now about 90 seconds left in this first half from Capelli Sports Stadium. McElhenney.
Well, surprising first half from Rochester, I'd say, when it comes to energy. They really were sharp on the ball. They really held well. They're pouncing. Their first step is there. They're keeping possession. In general, I'd say overall they've been the top team in the first half, and ultimately they scored a goal, so they have that with them going into the locker room.
Well, you mentioned the strength of midfield. That's something that Bob Lilly has stated from going back to April when I spoke to him before their New York Red Bulls 2 game. The strength of this team is in the midfield. It's still that strength right now. Well defended. That was Venter in a good position. Another good foray forward from Jordan Dover, the right back. He's from Ajax, Ontario, so playing against a hometown club of sorts, Ottawa Fury FC. It's been good battle for those outside back positions. It's really been Felix and Ferrell holding it down at center back, but Camden and Dover have had competition for the outside back places, and they've been part of this rotation over the last few weeks. There's the halftime whistle. So Rochester, after a tough road trip, 2 games in Florida, Open Cup in New England, they come home and they get a 19th minute goal from Ryan Felix, his first of the season and his first with Rochester. Corner kick taken by Canardo. Forbes, your thoughts on the first half, Albert Munoz?
Possession, 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 effective play, quality combination play, set pieces coming into fruition, scoring some goals from Rochester.
Plenty coming up at halftime. Our halftime score, the Rochester Rhinos 1, Ottawa Fury FC 0.
Welcome to the next generation at Ralph Honda.
A beautiful new showroom, a new state-of-the-art service department, and the same great service we're famous for.
We invite you to come in and visit our new next generation dealership. Come on, treat yourself to Ralph.
Focus. It's hard to keep. Everybody wants a piece of you. So don't lose it. Take your time. Work hard. Don't give up. And when your moment comes, breathe through and focus.
Call Wonder Windows. Get the news about those high cost, condensating, energy wasting window blues.
Get better windows at better prices. Save $100 on entry doors, $200 on sliding glass doors, and $500 on bay and bow windows. Call now for instant rebates or free triple pane upgrades.
Call Wonder Windows. They'll cure your blues. Stop those high cost, condensating, energy wasting window blues. Yeah.
When I sprained my left knee, they did so much to help me at
Lattimore Physical Therapy.
With 20 locations throughout Monroe and Livingston County, pain relief is never more than minutes away. Same-day appointments available. Most insurance accepted. Call 1-888-PT-ROCHS.
Lattimore Physical Therapy.
Welcome to the next generation at Ralph Honda.
A beautiful new showroom, a new state-of-the-art service department, and the same great service we're famous for.
We invite you to come in and visit our new next generation dealership. Come on, treat yourself to Ralph.
Welcome back to Capelli Sports Stadium, Rochester, New York. Important to get those fluids in at halftime. A warm night, upper 80s at kickoff. Hydration break required. And the home side, Rochester, looking to go 8 straight unbeaten. We'll start with the stats. Albert Munoz, anything surprise you here?
Surprising, not really. I would expect this is the typical possession breakdown that we have in percentages. Rochester really showed their class, their possession skills. Ottawa just fighting for the ball. They had some upticks throughout the first half, increased their possession play, but ultimately you had the shots, which obviously were one-sided, and then the one goal. So no surprises here.
I would guess if you're Paul Dalglish in Ottawa, you're disappointed that on the road you knew set pieces were a big part of it. You know that's one of your biggest ways to score, most likely ways, but you concede off a set piece. That's the difference in this game.
Yeah, absolutely, and sometimes that's the way it goes. But yeah, that's their strength. They need to obviously, make sure that they capitalize on those opportunities. They haven't had many opportunities. They haven't had to create any corner kick or set pieces. So they have to make sure they change that in the second half.
Highlights and more coming up. 1-0 Rochester at halftime.
Look at you. You're at the top of your game. At work or at play, you're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Oh, hey, she's cute. Nice going, man. Things are going great for you. You've earned a night out. Good drinks, good friends. Yeah, we can go ahead and call this a good night. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Not smart. Yeah, I saw that coming. Say goodbye to her. Ouch, that'll hurt your bank account. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. I hope you like eating frozen dinners. Alone. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
We've raised the stakes. Expectations are high. Our biggest season yet will break records with elite players and future stars, innovative technology, and new homes. We're growing the game in our communities and across the nation. Are you ready?
It was a fairy tale USL debut fit for a king. Fit for the king, Didier Drogba. Drogba's debut was the highlight of another strong attendance weekend for the USL. Week 12 drew over 87,000 fans, bringing total league attendance so far this season over the 750,000 mark. Drogba made his presence known early on in front of a sold-out crowd at Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex, but it wasn't until the 40th minute the man everyone had been waiting to see found the back of the net off an Amadou Dia cross. But he wasn't done. In the 77th minute, Drogba drew 2 defenders and slipped a pass to former Chelsea teammate Sean Wright Phillips for a familiar far post strike. That goal would serve to be the game winner. Over 7,000 fans were there to witness history for the USL and to witness the King make his mark on the game, having a part in both goals to lead Phoenix Rising FC to the 2-1 win over Vancouver Whitecaps FC 2. For USL Network, I'm Morgan Conklin.
Welcome to the next generation at Ralph Honda.
A beautiful new showroom, a new state-of-the-art service department, and the same great service we're famous for.
We invite you to come in and visit our new next generation dealership. Come on, treat yourself to Ralph.
Focus. It's hard to keep. Everybody wants a piece of you. So don't lose it. Take your time. Work hard. Don't give up. And when your moment comes, breathe through. And focus.
Call Wonder Windows. Get the news about those high costs, condensating energy wasting window blues.
Get better windows at better prices. Save $100 on entry doors, $200 on sliding glass doors, and $500 on bay and bow windows. Call now for instant rebates or free triple pane upgrades.
Call Wonder Windows. They'll cure your blues. Stop those high costs, condensating energy wasting window blues. Yeah.
When I sprained my left knee, they did so much to help me at
Lattimore Physical Therapy.
With 20 locations throughout Monroe and Livingston County, pain relief is never more than minutes away. Same-day appointments available. Most insurance accepted. Call 1-888-PT-ROCHS.
Lattimore Physical Therapy.
Welcome to the next generation at Ralph Honda.
A beautiful new showroom, a new state-of-the-art service department, and the same great service we're famous for.
We invite you to come in and visit our new next generation dealership. Come on, treat yourself to Ralph.
Halftime eats at Capelli Sports Stadium. Rochester leading Ottawa 1-0 as the home side looks to go to 8 straight unbeaten and snap Ottawa's 3-game unbeaten streak. First ever meeting between these new USL rivals. Albert Munoz, let's get to the highlights from the first half.
All Rochester. Rochester with their set pieces have been very menacing against Ottawa. They continuously have been threatening with their possession play. Bernardo Forbes with a beautiful Strickland corner kick here, trying to connect with Wall Fall. It seems like that's the strategy. He knows he's very tall, and you see here another corner kick. But Felix came in, an exceptional corner kick placed on his head, capitalized, beautiful goal.
4 days shy of his birthday, an early birthday present for Felix.
It's always great.
As we see Forbes working here on this right side with Camden.
Camden's continuously been a threat on the left-hand side. We'll see numerous highlights from him. He held the ball well. He penetrated the flank. He tried to chip the goalie here, surprising him. But unfortunately, fortunately for Irvin, he was on his feet.
One of the few chances for Ottawa came to Cito.
Cito, we had a lot of expectations for him in the first half. Fortunately, he only had a couple of opportunities, such as this one, exceptional, but it did show his potential, show his hot streak, well-stricken ball, but unfortunately it was a little out.
You see Bob Lilly, the head coach, and assistant Mark Pulisic walking off there, discussing things heading into halftime. We look at the upcoming schedule for Ottawa Fury FC, a couple at home, Orlando City B and Red Bulls 2, and then a tough 2-city road trip before they host the Rhinos middle of July.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to come through these 4 games, what kind of scores you're going to get, the results to come back and play against Rochester.
Supposed to be a big crowd for that Orlando City B game. It's the daytime game, 11 a.m. in Ottawa.
Interesting.
And now for Rochester, they get a little rematch against Orlando after they drew with them last week.
After Orlando, it's really going to be a continuation of a couple of road games for them, which is very important to get away, but then obviously come back July 8th with a lot of strength against Harrisburg City and again against Ottawa. So 4 games in between these 2 matchups.
And Bob Lilly's talked about the importance of possession when you Charlotte and St. Louis at the start of July. Those could be warm weather games.
Absolutely, and they're going to be used to it, which is great for them. It's going to continue their momentum. So very important for them to capitalize on those goals. Hopefully they'll get those wins on the road.
So a 2-city road trip, and then they'll be at Ottawa at the end of the month. Well, here's the standings. This is heading into play today. So if Rochester hangs on to win, They can leapfrog both Red Bulls 2 and Bethlehem, move into 4th. Ottawa's right on the heels of Rochester, but both these teams have several games in hand. Entering play today, Rochester's played 3 or even 4 games fewer than some of the teams they're chasing.
Well, that absolutely shows their potential to really get catapulted to the top of the standings. They're midway through the season. This is when it counts. This is when it's important to get your momentum in. But ultimately, the playoff is the goal. So at the end of the day, it's very important to get the goals and the wins.
Top 8 make the playoffs. 1 hosts 8, 2 hosts 7, and so on. As we look at the Western Conference standings, Real Monarchs and San Antonio running away with the top 2 seeds. San Antonio hosting action tonight. It gets a lot more congested places 3 through 8.
Well, RGV, Rio Grande Valley, exceptional skilled team. Seattle Sounders as well. OKC, all these players on teams have been really coming up and fighting for those spots. It's really time now to punch down and try to get the win every time they get an opportunity.
And you see the parity of the league. Swope Park Rangers went to the USL Cup final last year, lost to Red Bulls 2. They're hanging on at 8th. Tulsa, one of the surprises in the West this year, under Coach Vaudreuil, they're in a tie for 9th with Phoenix.
Well, Phoenix showed, and obviously we had the presence of Didier Drogba, who came in and scored a goal in his first game. That's exceptional. That's been such a hyped-up team, and he came and capitalized, which is exceptional for the league. Builds momentum, builds confidence. So a lot of enlightenment for Phoenix, and hopefully they pick up their pace.
So Albert Munoz, you see Ottawa first team out on the field. What do you think is key for them to get back into this game?
Try to hold the ball, try to create more opportunities, be more aggressive, stop chasing so much, hold the ball well, be smart with their plays, open up the field, use their strengths. They're not possessive. It's a matter of playing long ball for them. And Cito, the man we see here, number 11, he needs to show up, hold possession, turn, show his creativity, and potentially get a strike on goal, and so that will catapult them and put them back into the game.
You could see a moment ago the pep talk from the captain, Lance Roseboom, 28-year-old, trying to fire up the troops against his former team.
Well, they have a little bit of an edge on that end. They know Rochester, they know their style, so it's surprising that they're not going full force and trying to get their possession. Players that understand how other teams play usually know how to play against them. So it's exceptional and important for them to come in the second half with everything that we just mentioned, which is being a little bit more aggressive.
Rochester in green, Ottawa in white. And we'll get things going in the second half.
I don't foresee any changes yet. I mean, I think Rochester starting with the second half, let them get that second half momentum continuously. And then maybe by 60th, 70th minute, they'll start making their decisive changes.
Here we go, second half underway from Rochester. Matt Peterson with Albert Munoz, and right off the bat, a handball and a free kick for Ottawa.
Batteries have been recharged. Hopefully, the second half changes for Ottawa. They must come in quicker and potentially get a couple of decisive plays in the first few minutes, which will get them back into the second half competitively. And Rochester just ultimately needs to score another goal as soon as possible, along with the lines with Wallfall, Forbes, get that ball in, get that possession in, and then try to connect with Graf, who's been on fire in the first half.
Not many chances for either team in that first half, as Tomas Gomez comes off his line to claim. More half chances for Rochester, and a few set pieces that were really well defended by Rochester. Ottawa's closest chances apart from Cito Sione on a tight angle. Here comes Rochester. Dover asking for it on this right side. Bradley Camden Faywo. Pretty good delivery, but it's just a bit long for Jordan Dover.
Great skill set there by Rochester, and a great lineup run there by Conrado Forbes, touching the ball well with Dover, with Brown. Exceptional play overall, and unfortunately the cross was just a little bit long, but it just shows that they're aggressive right off the bat. They're looking to get the ball in again, and everyone's touching the ball, meaning they're not dispersing extra energy.
Callum Irving, Vancouver native, played in the Whitecaps Academy, and then a two-time Conference USA Player of the Year at Kentucky. Irving off his line. Well, you saw some frustration there from Johan Graf. Ball was played too far in front of him. Wallfall tracking back well in front of Steven Dos Santos. Very quiet start to this game for Steven Dos Santos against his old team.
Yeah, we were expecting a little bit more presence, being he's such a strong player. He's been a little quiet. I mean, Ottawa needs more of him to come in, hold the ball, and show his presence up top, as we see here. He's a speedy player also, but he's very dangerous with his head.
Look at that touch from Forbes. Excellent skill from the Jamaican. Third year with Rochester. Played 30 games last year.
It's the type of confidence that he instills in his team, knowing that if he receives the ball, he's very unlikely to turn it over.
There's Jalen Brown. Played at Xavier. Now it's Jordan Dover. DeFreger! Not the best contact, and it's Groff just past the near upper corner. Tough angle for Groff, but he took it on the very first touch.
Great lead up here by Rochester. DeFreger with the ultimate touch there, but Graf, the ultimate poacher. He comes in with his toe. No matter what, he'll come in and potentially be dangerous against the defense. So that's the type of play that he is known for. He comes in and he pokes the ball. He almost had a nice goal there.
Johan Graf, 27 years old, last 3 seasons in Sweden. Played college at SMU and Bradley. But a luxury not every USL coach has, to have this rotation policy with Groff and Darius Madison, 2 pretty capable forwards, and they can really empty the tank and then wait a week and then come off the bench the next week and start every other game just about.
Would it make sense to put them both on the field at the same time?
But then you have to take off one of the good midfielders, right?
That's the catch.
DeFreger stays onside. Here's DeFreger just past the far post. Great chance, Stefan DeFreger, as he looked for his first goal of the season.
Exceptional decision making by DeFreger. He's been active the first few minutes. Conrado Forbes, a beautiful through ball with the vision, and he said, you know what, I crossed it last time, let me take a shot and try to take some initiative here. Excellent opportunity here by DeFreger.
And you saw DeFreger glance across the box. That might have been a driven ball through the 6. A little too long for Groff. But Forbes once again pulling the strings, and it was Dover again with nice link-up play.
Going back to that comment in reference to having both Graf and Madison, I mean, I think it will disrupt their style because you're ultimately using 2 strikers up top, and they're so used to playing with 5 in the midfield. But I'm just curious to see how they would both adapt together with maybe one last midfielder, but maybe Rochester would have more of an attacking-minded mentality, knowing that ultimately those 2 strikers could score a goal at any moment.
A rare turnover in a bad spot from Rochester, but they recover well as the pass was off from Ryan Williams. Bob Lilly was very complimentary of Darius Madison in his performance Wednesday at New England. He said he really gave the Revolution some problems.
He's a dangerous player. He's very speedy. He's so strong on the ball. I enjoy watching him play. I mean, I hope he comes into this game ultimately for the last maybe 20, 30 minutes, creates that spark for Rochester, and maybe allows them to score that second goal.
Ryan Williams, 26-year-old from England. Previously played in the Welsh Premier League, Scottish Premier League, and with Brentford in the English Championship. Here's the delivery. And Wallfall in a good spot to head away.
Notice Wallfall's had a quiet game. Underrated because he doesn't have to be loud in his play. He's very conservative. He's just very steady. He's the type of player that receives the ball and rarely loses possession. But we haven't seen much of him today, and ultimately it could be because obviously he's a little weary, he's tired, but conservative at best and holding the ball well and being present when he needs him to be.
Well, Bob Lilly did a great job with his rotation the last few games. They got a 1-1 draw at Tampa last Saturday. They lost in the Open Cup to New England on Wednesday. But if you look throughout their starting lineup tonight, Albert, there's only 2 players that played all 180 minutes the last 2 games. That's Ryan Felix and Wallfall, along with Tomas Gomez. But in terms of field players, only 2, Fall and Felix, have played every minute.
That just shows how deep their roster is. I mean, it's exceptional to have so many equally as effective players coming off the bench. That just shows that, you know what, it's okay to give your players a rest. There's a lot of games in the season. There's a lot of Open Cup games, so it's a matter of keeping everyone healthy. I mean, I would say that's the most important, making sure that, you know, there's no transition between a starting lineup and a secondary lineup. It's one big lineup, and you could be accountable for any given day. So that's exceptional. That's important for Rochester.
Anewa Obasi, former Rochester player, pushing forward the left back position. It was good cover that time, as you see some shouts from the Ottawa bench that should have been a corner. Good cover from Joseph Ferrell to deny Ottawa, as we take a look at Tomas Gomez. Fans, stay up to date on the latest USL news and information from around the league. Tune into USL Coast to Coast with Mike Watts, Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM FC Channel 85. Also, don't forget, Sirius XM FC will air the USL Game of the Week. Check uslsoccer.com for dates and times. Bob Lilly made 5 changes to his starting lineup from Wednesday's loss to New England. Good win that time from Wallfall, and then Camden Fawo sprays it forward. Groff, Garzi, Brown, DeFrager, and Camden, the 5 newcomers to the starting lineup. Jordan Dover, very confident going forward. Played at University of Wisconsin, Green Bay.
Dover's been a mainstay this season. He's connected well in the midfield with Wall and Forbes. Such a speedy and energetic player down the flank. He brings a lot of presence and great crossing ability for Rochester. Very important to have in the outside midfielder. And he's also a very good two-way player. He's very strong on the defensive side.
DeFrager. Felix. And Bradley Camden Fawo. Groff tried to leave it for Jalen Brown. It's all the way back to Callum Irving. Ryan Williams, Jamar Dixon, Andre Campbell, now the captain, Lance Roseboom. Kyle Venter. Anewa Obasi. Really unique player, Obasi, as he pushes forward. Well done to find Andre Campbell. Back to Obasi, but he can't settle, and Rochester clears.
Forbes struggle there with possession. I think we're starting to see a little bit of a slow down pace here for Rochester. A couple of legs are getting a little tired. So it might be time to start, making decisions on substitutes.
McElhenney. Dixon forward, falls to Campbell. Campbell clips it in. Free header, still alive in the area. And it's picked up by Tomas Gomez. So the initial chance fell to Steven Dos Santos. He didn't connect that well.
Ottawa's showing their presence now. They're a little bit more pressure. They've been more on Rochester's half in the last few minutes. And as you see here in these last couple opportunities, it seems that they're going to try to create a little bit more momentum now. It seems like they're going to create some opportunities. So if players like Cito, Sione connect well with Williams or Dos Santos, ultimately we might see a potential goal here for Ottawa.
It was Sione who had the second headed chance. Couldn't get much on it. But you're right. I think typically Rochester, one of the best defensive records in the league, they were a little bit slow to close down the space that time on Campbell.
Yeah, and those are the mistakes that are going to be made due to the weirdness of and the tiredness of these players. So again, it's very crucial for Bob Lilly to make decisions at the right time. They might be prepping in the next 5-10 minutes to make a couple of subs, just to solidify their back and make sure that no one's obviously not on their sharpest.
Here comes
feet.
Roseboom, trying to chip past that time. Well defended once again, Joseph Ferrell. Now McElhenney. Ottawa thought there was a foul. The referee, Laurent Vargas, says it was all ball. Excellent skill from Obasi, 6'4", but still can handle the ball with aplomb.
Very crafty player. He reminds me of Zlatan Ibrahimovic. He's very tall, very strong player, but very crafty with his left foot there. I've noticed the last couple of plays. Could be dangerous for Ottawa if he continues to put pressure from the backside. He's definitely created a couple of chances now in the last few minutes.
Ottawa continues to push forward. Wallfall couldn't settle it. Cito Sione lost it, and now Forbes. Wide here to Bradley Camden. Bob Lilly said Obasi is one of the most unique, skillful players in the league. Very fast, very tricky. Talking about his former player Lance Roseboom, one of those steady guys, you know what you're going to get.
Entering the match, number 9, Karl Howard.
And he said Dos Santos, one of the best forwards in the league, maybe not statistically, but can really dominate a game and always a big game player. So we're seeing 2 changes made by Paul Dalglish simultaneously. And we'll see how these changes impact the game.
I'll tell you what, it's definitely going to bring some energy for Ottawa. Fresh legs is always going to be a great help in the 60th minute for a team. These changes should make a difference, and Rochester obviously needs to be on their toes and make sure that they continuously are hyper defensive here for the remaining 30.
Jordan Dover. To Freger with Dover.
A lot of active midfield play here from both teams. A lot of possession fight. Ottawa's really trying to inch their way back into this game, holding the ball, creating chances, spraying the ball wide, and ultimately just holding the ball well in the midfield. It will give them some time to create and maybe tire Rochester's legs out even more, and then potentially hit them with the counterattack. I think that's the strategy that's going to be implemented for the last 30 minutes here from Ottawa.
Lance Roseboom out of Walker, Iowa. Anewa Obasi.
Here we go again.
Not the size of a prototypical left back, but
nope.
a huge attacking option for Paul Dalglish. Here's Ryan Williams.
I'd say versatile would be a good way to describe him. Exceptional versatility, always present here on the left side. Ottawa's really shaping up. It's really showing their aggressive energy here, creating these dangerous opportunities now in the second half, keeping Rochester at bay, making sure that they're obviously on their toes. So let's see what the set piece brings here for Ottawa, looking for their taller players, such as Obasi in the back.
Well, more good play from Joseph Ferrell's had a good game clearing that header. We do know the 2 newcomers to the game, Tucker Hume and Karl Howard. They replaced Steven Dos Santos and Cito Sione. So 2 forwards for 2 defenders, or 2 forwards, I should say.
interesting substitutions. I'd say that's the right mentality. Keeping energy up top, obviously having fresh legs up top, looking for those counters, looking for players like Obasi who could create crosses and ultimately connect with these new fresh players such as Hume, which I had mentioned before, is an exceptional striker, has a lot of experience, and could really make a difference for Ottawa today.
So again, to recap, Tucker Hume replaces Steven Dos Santos, and then Karl Howard in for Cito Sione. So Paul Dalglish perhaps sending a message. You had 60 minutes, you didn't do much up top. I'm going to take both of you off and bring 2 newcomers on.
And that's how it is. You have your chances, you have to take them. Especially against teams that are obviously a little bit more tired than you are. You should be showing a difference. And if they're not and they're having quiet games, there's a lot of competition. That's just all he's giving them as a sign to make sure that they're on their toes.
Eddie Edward pushing forward. Advantage played. Edward wins a throw-in. And now we're going to see another change coming.
The substitution for your Rochester Rhinos, entering the match number 7, Ryan James, replacing number 22, Jalen Brown.
So the first change, it's Ryan James on for Jalen Brown. How would you assess a 63-minute performance for Jalen Brown?
I'd say exceptional. I mean, this is a strategic change, bringing in fresh legs for Rochester. Brown had a entertaining first half, a very steady second half. James could bring in and obviously provide that extra strength here on the wing. Maybe some crosses, maybe obviously some defensive work. But little by little, we'll see the substitutions trickle in, and they'll be all strategic here for Rochester.
Ryan Williams in the corner for Ottawa. 1 versus 2 goes down. That was actually Karl Howard, I beg your pardon, the substitute, some of his first touches, and then a foul of frustration after the fact.
You might see a little retaliation here from Ottawa.
20 minutes now because you got a cramp. Get up. Right.
So James into the game. He's been a big part of Bob Lilly's team the last week or so. Started 69 minutes at New England on Wednesday, 90 minutes at Tampa last Saturday. Tonight's his 11th appearance. He's also an Ontario native, so playing against the Ottawa side, and so many Ontario natives in this game for both teams.
Yeah, so he has a little less than 30 minutes to really show and make a difference here for Rochester when they really need him.
Good knockdown for Tucker Hume, and then Ryan Williams draws a foul that he might be able to take. So good work there. Hume just in the game. One of the biggest players on the field, Tucker Hume. He and his twin brother, stars in North Carolina. They went to the College Cup last year. And his brother, Walker, is a center back for FC Dallas. Tucker into this game for Dos Santos, and that knockdown led to the free kick.
Yeah, so this is typical set piece here for Ottawa. They're going to essentially look for players like Hume. They're going to look for these set pieces to maybe solidify a potential goal. So it's going to be interesting to see what's going to play out here. But Ottawa overall, I have to give it to them. They've really brought up and stepped up their game. Rochester's showing a little bit more of tiredness. Ottawa's taking advantage of that, and it really shows in the last 5 to 10 minutes. So Ottawa ultimately deserves a goal. Let's see if it comes into fruition.
Directly at goal, and it's just past the left post. So that time, the specialist from set pieces, Ryan Williams, tried to go his own way, but did not test Tomas Gomez. And before that set piece, we had the second change for Rochester. Sofiane Turgeon, the 25-year-old from France, entered the game. So 2 changes have been made by both Paul Dalglish of Ottawa and Bob Lilly of Rochester.
319. Congratulations. You are the big winner, and stop over to the Camp Cook Days table to claim your prize.
These changes should cement and solidify the strategy that they're going to implement, both teams here for the remaining time in the game. which ultimately is going to be for Rochester, keep possession, show some more energy up top, make sure that they maybe try to get another goal or two. And then ultimately Ottawa, which has picked up their pace, try to pick up some more possession and create those counterattacks against Rochester. Maybe set up a couple set pieces. Look up for Hume up top, who's fresh, and get that tie goal. And then potentially in the last few minutes, fight it out for the winner.
You can hear the support of the Ottawa traveling supporters.
That's very important to have on the road. Keeps your momentum, keeps your passion up. And it's changed so much over the years. I mean, ultimately, the leagues have evolved and have improved to the point where the developing of the USL, of the MLS in the last 15 years, 20 years or so, has been exceptional. I mean, these are leagues now. You have these fans coming out. You have the homegrown fans. So the future generation has really something to look forward to. And there's so many talented players in these leagues that ultimately the future of the U.S., not only is it here already, but for the future World Cup national teams, it's going to be very threatening in the World Cup stage.
Getting confirmation, Sofiane Turgiu replaced Stefan DeFreger. So 25-year-old Turgiu on for DeFreger. As you see, Callum Irving hustling forward to restart. Turgiu played 90 minutes Wednesday against New England in the Open Cup loss. Off the bench last Saturday at Tampa. Overall, this is his 5th appearance of the season. And now a chance, cleared off the line, it goes off the bar. Well, Rochester really let off the hook there. It should be 1-1, but Ottawa cannot find the back of the net.
Looking at this replay, I mean, Ottawa, as you mentioned, has built a lot of momentum looking into this play. They've created an opportunity out of simply Hume, the header, the flick, and then the aggressive play here by Ottawa. Unfortunately, just nick of time, Rochester was able to defend, but what a great opportunity for Ottawa, and they're really showing their energy in these last few minutes.
Well, Tucker Hume has been a handful since coming in this game. 6'5", out of North Carolina.
What a presence.
He knocked it down previously, that set up the free kick for Ryan Williams. That one nearly set up the goal as Ryan Felix, in his clearance, went off an Ottawa player nearly in the net. And then it went off the player and off the crossbar. So you need a little bit luck to go 8 straight unbeaten, and that's what Rochester will be if they go 20 more minutes with this 1-0 lead.
I think it was a little late to bring in Hume. Maybe he should have started or maybe played initially from the second half, being that he's so present up top. His height is just so attractive for any cross ball or any long ball into the box.
Albert, it also shows the tactics of Ottawa. And Paul Dalglish talked about this with me on the phone this week, saying this team, I want it to be like the 06 and 07 Houston Dynamo teams that won MLS Cups. Great on set pieces, hardworking, tough to beat, tough to play against. That's a goalkeeper coming to midfield in the 70th minute to take a restart, and it nearly leads to the goal with Hume.
Correct. Yeah, it is a great tactic. It works. I mean, obviously, if you're 6'5", you're going to be that point man. You're going to be the target man. You want all the balls to come in the air. You're going to out-jump everyone and potentially score a goal. So if that tactic works game after game, why not implement it earlier on? That's my question.
Well, Dos Santos hasn't been a surefire starter, a big signing after his 2 great seasons with Rochester, but he had an injury and missed 6 games before coming back last week. He had 2 goals against FC Edmonton in the Canadian Championship, but then missed 6. So Dos Santos coming back into form. Sione's been carrying the scoring load, but guys like Tucker Hume and Karl Howard, who both came on at the same moment, are pushing for more minutes.
well, if he continues playing the way he does and creating these type of chances, he's definitely yielding that for himself, especially him.
Wayward cross from Rochester leads to a goal kick for Ottawa.
Rhino fans, we will be announcing the key bank save of the match.
Howard, the other substitute, longest serving Ottawa player, is in his 4th season out of Southport, England. Earned his first Canada call-up in November.
That brings a lot of confidence in the player when you get called up to your national team. Obviously, it's an honor and a joy to play and represent your country. So you're working off that momentum, that confidence. That's going to bring you back as a different player. You get that international exposure. It's just priceless. So any team that's going to benefit from that is really going to show a difference in their season.
And he's actually just rounding back into form. He was on the bench last week against Harrisburg City Islanders, but he missed the first 11 games of the season, including Harrisburg. So this is his 2017 USL debut, Karl Howard, the 27-year-old. He led Ottawa with 7 goals and 4 assists last year. Here's a chance, but the offside flag came up. Tucker Hume, another opportunity, mostly in the air, that time nearly scoring. And you see Tomas Gomez taking some blame there.
Exceptional cross pass through ball for Hume. Very, very close call there. Hume being 6'5", that stretched out leg might have unfortunately worked against him. But if that would have been a regular play, that would have not been offside. That would have been an exceptional play by Ottawa.
Well, what a change to this game 2 subs have brought for Paul Dalglish in Ottawa. Tucker Hume, Karl Howard replacing Cito Sione and Steven Dos Santos, and it's been all Ottawa since. They've had a few chances. One clearance from Rochester center back Ryan Felix went off an Ottawa player, then off the crossbar. But just what you want off the bench. Howarth on the ball there, and Tucker Hume changing things for Ottawa, who still trail by a goal.
I agree. I mean, there has been a lot of change in the game. But going back, as we mentioned, I being a former attacking midfielder, whenever I had a bad night, an off game, because I wasn't connecting well, I wasn't creating, it all falls back on me because I'm the one that dictates, I'm the one that creates, I'm the one that shows and makes a difference. Mr. Conrado Forbes has slowed down in the second half. He's the difference maker for Rochester. He's the one that you want the ball on, but he's been a little bit tired. He's the one that's been obviously drifting a little bit more.
What a pass that time from Ryan Williams. Andre Campbell trying to keep it alive on the end line. 1 versus 2, good hustle from the substitute Ryan James, and there's Forbes on the ball.
Yeah, so going back to him, I mean, he's the one that really needs to pick it up if Rochester's going to continue with that aggressive mindset.
Obasi crossing, and it's claimed there by Tomas Gomez. So we know that Ryan Williams is a set-piece specialist. How about the skill using the outside of the right to slice that pass in behind the defense in the path of Andre Campbell?
Again, mentioning Obasi's skill, I mean, his presence. He's such a diversified player. I mean, he will make the difference. Unfortunately, that cross was a little short, intercepted well by Gomez, but if he continues in the last minutes of this game, ultimately Ottawa deserves a goal. He needs to connect with Hume, who could potentially easily score a goal. So Ottawa really still has a chance here, especially now Rochester's slowed down a bit.
'59th minute sub, so I'd say Rochester largely controlled the first hour, but the last 15 minutes have been all Ottawa as they look for a equalizing goal on the road. There's Sofiane Terjou, number 10 for Rochester.
It'll be well deserved by Ottawa. A changed team in the second half. Difference makers definitely would be the lack of energy on Rochester's side and ultimately the changes they made, bringing in a couple of fresh-legged attackers.
See Bob Lilly off the bench for Rochester.
I'm sure he's getting a little frustrated at his team because obviously they're breaking apart, they're not creating, they're not holding the ball, and they're letting Ottawa onto them at home.
Jamar Dixon for Ottawa. Roseboom now. There's Karl Howard. Service from the right. Hume nods it on, but a heavy touch that time for Andre Campbell. Wasted opportunity for the Fury.
Those are the chances you don't want to let go. Those are the ones you're going to regret. Exceptional header flick by Hume. That's what he does. That's what he's good at. He creates chances for his teammates. Those are the ones that they need to capitalize on Ottawa's end and make sure they actually at least get a shot on goal.
Well, now a bad turnover and a takedown there from Joseph Ferrell.
20 minutes because his feelings are hurt. Get up. Jesus. I think he got clotheslined.
Yeah, Ferrell too late with his clearance, then he dragged him down. And a deserved yellow card.
Yeah, that's a fair call. It's a double hit there.
Now Ferrell sent off at Providence in the Open Cup against New England on Wednesday. An unfair second yellow in my opinion, but that was a deserved yellow here.
That's a fair call. That's definitely a yellow card.
Good pressure from Jamar Dixon. Now probably the 4th or 5th chance tonight for Ryan Williams to make his impact on this game from a set piece.
As we mentioned before, he is a specialist. He practices, I'm sure, week after week. He doesn't have a chance here. He will go for the goal.
He does, and he pulls it wide. So second straight chance. That was nearly the identical spot as about 10 minutes ago after Hume knocked it down. So Ryan Williams just a bit off the mark with the set pieces tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's great for him. He will continuously get his reps in. That's ultimately what he needs to do. A little bit shifted to the right. He needs to obviously align himself more towards hitting the frame, but the technique's there. It's dangerous. He has great power behind it, but unfortunately he hasn't been able to make contact this year. Actually, this game, sorry.
Does have 2 goals, 2 assists this year. As Rochester looks to regain a foothold in this game, it's Groff.
Graff has put in an effort today, playing up top as a lone striker. Definitely needs more support behind him, but it comes down to the legs, guys. I mean, it just shows that they've been playing week after week and multiple games within weeks. That takes a toll on your legs. You need to be smarter. You need to hold your legs. You need to hold the ball. And at this point, you have 10 minutes left in the game. Rochester needs to be very careful because Ottawa's on fire.
Good position from Jordan Dover. It looks like Ottawa's also made their 3rd change as Bruna has come on. Gerardo Bruna, the 26-year-old from Argentina, number 10 for Ottawa. That's the last change for Paul Dalglish. So he's gone with 2 forwards who've been quite effective and maybe the biggest name in this team in terms of pedigree and expectation. But as Paul Dalglish told me, he just hasn't been able to stay healthy. But when he's on, he's one of the best playmakers in the league. So keep an eye on the number 10 for Ottawa just into this game.
We will. That's the type of player that I love to watch. He's entertaining. He's very skillful. He's that playmaker, just like Rochester's Forbes.
There is Bruna sealing the ball on the end line to prevent Joseph Ferrell from getting to it. Gerardo Bruna started in the Real Madrid Academy. They went to the Liverpool Academy. And as Paul Dalglish said, as good a number 10 as there is in USL. Had a groin surgery last year, limited in 6 games. Tonight's his 7th appearance.
Those are very important players to have on your team. They're the difference makers. They're the special ones. Those are the ones that they could get away with any type of play, because you know very well that ultimately they'll concede a potential goal. They'll actually go ahead and you know, create great opportunities.
Here's Groff. Has Forbes on the near side running centrally. And Groff cannot hit the target as he cut onto his right. By the way, Gerardo Bruna replaced Eddie Edward.
Nike is an official sponsor of the USL. For more information, visit NikeSoccer.com.
A little ambitious effort there by Graf, but ultimately that's what a striker needs to do. Exceptional trap. Again, he's been present all game, working up top as a lone striker. And ultimately, you know, the height of the ball got the best of him there, but great attempt there, and ultimately that's what they need from him.
There's Bruno, his first touches. Ryan Williams. Decent connection, but didn't trouble Tomas Gomez.
Again, the potential's there on his shots. He has a great technique on frame most of the time, but this shot that he last took, obviously a little bit more power was needed to make obviously a little bit more difficult for Gomez.
Well, game opening up and also slowing down at the same time, if that makes sense. Both teams look a little fatigued as Forbes plays it centrally to Ryan James.
It does make sense. That's usually what happens in the 80th minute. I mean, fatigue is setting in, but the newcomers, the fresh legs, are the ones that are going to make a difference now.
Terziu went down easily. Now the flag comes up. Tucker Hume not happy, as he thought he was onside. Hume last year, 7 goals, 4 assists as North Carolina reached the Final Four.
Soccer from the Rhinos to the world. Monday, 6:30 on 92.1 FM and 1040 AM WYSL, and on the web at WYSL 1040.
Wallfall with the ball there. Wallfall's had a quiet game, but again, very consistent player. I think he's dropped the back more into the back line this half. Have you noticed, Matt? He's definitely been out of the midfield range. He's let more of Garzi and Forbes take the initiative. I guess he's resting silently in the back, but still being present. So great performance from Mr. Wallfall there.
Here's Forbes, trying to help Rochester see it out for their 8th straight without defeat. Roseboom plays it forward right off the referee, Laurent Varga. That was Bruna with eyes for Andre Campbell on this left side, but too long, and now Tomas Gomez will milk some clock.
Bruna showing his potential with his left foot. He has a lot of vision. He's the type of player that he's going to look for that long ball because of that confidence he has in his left foot. So he's the type of player that he's going to come in, he's going to try to grab the ball, open up the field, look for those penetrating through balls, and maybe connects with Hume, and maybe he can make a difference in the last few minutes today.
Well, we just had the final change of the night. It's Darius Madison replacing Kennardo Forbes. So a good eye from you, Albert. You thought Forbes was tiring. Bob Lilly takes him off after 85 minutes. And Darius Madison, a forward, replaces the midfielder. So as you wanted to see, Madison and Groff will play up front together, with perhaps one of them dropping off, but they're on the field at the same time.
Interesting. Dream change would have been, hey, let's keep Forbes in and let Madison and Graff play up top in front of them. That would have been very, very interesting. But ultimately, Forbes was tiring. I'm sure Bob Lilly had to be reluctant to take him out, but he's such an important player.
Interesting here, Albert. Another free kick won by Hume. He wanted advantage. He's arguing with Lauren Varga that wasn't an advantageous play for Ottawa, but the referee gives him the free kick. We'll see if Williams takes another, if they mix it up. Bruno wants it. He's off the bench. That hasn't scored this year, but Williams has had the last few.
That's going to be very common to have that fight for that ball. It's the last few minutes, but I think it's going to be a cross here for Hume.
Bruna into the mix, cannot find Hume. Good clearing header from Rochester. Williams, and it's halfway cleared that time from Groff.
It looks like Madison checked back now to defend, but ultimately I think they're going to be both playing up top to look for depth in the field, open it up, and look for that long ball. you know, make sure that they obviously keep possession, but it's the last few minutes. They need to obviously be smart with their touches. Rochester side, obviously.
Another good lay down, that time from Tucker Hume in the path of Williams, but it's well defended by Rochester. Hume winning everything. At that time, it's Felix, the goal scorer, his 19th minute goal standing up. He's tracking back, and Rochester will try to see this one out.
It's funny you mentioned that he has won everything in the air. I mean, if you're 6'5", it's going to be very tough to not win everything in the air, but he's been very present in the minutes that he's gotten today.
Rochester over 2 months without a loss in the USL. Their last one was against Charleston, April 15th, a 5-0 defeat. And Bob Lilly at the time said, I made too many changes. I tried to overthink it, as they started the season with 3 straight road games at Bethlehem, at Toronto FC2, and then at Charleston. So since that game, they've only allowed more than a goal once. And this would be 8 straight without defeat. Here's a cross, good claim from Callum Irving. Shown good athleticism coming off his line several times tonight.
Oh yeah, he's been very, very busy. Rochester, as you see in the replay here, you'll see the ever-present crosses and the set-piece game here. Interesting to see Madison who came in now shortly, running up and down, defending. I mean, he's going to be the target man. He should be the one that everyone's going to try to hold the ball with. Long ball, short ball, look for Madison. There he is on the ball. Hopefully he'll hold possession, or he'll create some kind of opportunity for Rochester in the last few minutes.
Well, if this score holds, it would be the 4th shutout during the 8-game unbeaten streak for the Rochester Rhinos. Heavy contact that time from Obasi and a free kick drawn by Madison. So they'll be 4-0-4 during the streak, and all 4 of those wins by shutout if this score holds up.
It's a great fact there for Rochester. Madison comes in late in the game. That's exactly what they want from him. Draw a foul, create chaos, show some energy. And this is what they're going to do. The last few minutes, they're going to try to kill some time in the corner. If they can, oh, he got offside, but unfortunately there. But this is the tactic they're going to implement, which is a smart play. It's prudent. Make sure those players grab the ball and hold the ball.
Big mistake there for Madison. That can't happen at the professional level, to be offside on that kind of play.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I agree. He needs to be obviously sharper. He needs to make sure that he holds the possession, because even though some time was wasted and depleted, ultimately they lost possession.
Put back in play by Irving. Back to the Canadian goalkeeper. Bob Lilly again was very complimentary of Madison's work rate. Really troubled New England at times. Drew fouls. He has an escapability to his game. Difficult for center backs to deal with. As we enter second half stoppage time, 4 minutes will be added on. Dover. And offside once again, that time against Ryan James. So Albert Munoz, what do you think the keys are for the final few minutes for Ottawa as they look to push for the equalizer?
Well, their momentum has definitely slowed down because Rochester did pick it up in the last few minutes. But, hey, 4 minutes, keep it up. Keep looking for Hume, connect that target man, hold the ball, and try to get a shot off. Get Williams on a set piece, get a free kick in. Create whatever you can in the last few minutes to ultimately try to get that draw.
Hume wins another header, but second ball won by Rochester. Then a handball free kick for Rochester with 1 minute gone in second half stoppage time. Ryan Felix, his goal the difference. 19th minute off a corner kick from Canardo Forbes. Felix, his first goal of the season. Forbes, his third assist. Good touch that time. Andre Campbell, then some contact. He has to be careful. He's on a yellow card. Joseph Ferrell.
These are the moments. These are the moments. They need to be very careful.
And I think a big spot could have picked up a second yellow there. It wasn't the hardest foul, but due to the situation.
Correct. The danger. Rochester's up 1-0. The last few minutes of the game, very, very important that they're very prudent and conservative on their tackles. Obviously, don't let up, but don't be reckless. This is unnecessary yellow card action if you get one at this point in time in the game.
Ryan Williams to take this free kick. Towards the back post. And easily handled there from Tomas Gomez. Disappointing to not find Tucker Hume there.
Correct. I was just going to mention that. Absolutely. We're both on the same page here. The play is hit across, set piece, look for Hume. He needs to connect better with him. He can't shoot to the goal. He needs to make sure that he gives Hume a chance. He's 6'5". He's probably going to outpace, outjump any defender on the Rochester end. So yeah, a little disappointing being that there's only 2 minutes left in the game.
2 minutes, 45 seconds into 4 minutes of time added on as Ottawa pushes forward. Nice work from Wallfall, finding something left in the tank to run that down. And the German will play it forward. Throw in for Rochester in front of Paul Dalglish. Dalglish, he said, his opposite coach tonight, Bob Lilly, is the yardstick for all the coaches in the lower leagues in North America. He's been successful everywhere he's been. And now a yellow card goes to the Ottawa bench. It looked like maybe an assistant coach.
Issued to the Rhinos number 10, Sofian Turgu. Caution issued in stoppage time.
Maybe Sofian Turgu, I beg your pardon. Normally don't show yellow cards to the bench, right?
Correct.
So if it's shown, it has to be a player on the field.
Well, as you mentioned, Paul Dalglish, I mean, obviously holding that standard for Rochester. I have to give it to Ottawa, who definitely stepped it up and really had good opportunities to really capitalize in the second half. Unfortunately, they came up a little short so far, but it's really looking like Rochester's really going to end with a win here tonight.
And there's the full-time whistle. You see the reaction from Johan Groff, what it means to him as Rochester extends its unbeaten run to 8 games and they win the first ever meeting against the Ottawa Fury FC. Final score on a goal from Ryan Felix. It's Rochester 1, Ottawa nothing. More when we come back after this.
Couch and want to protect it from spills, food, and scratching, shedding pets. Introducing Couch Coat, the reversible, washable quilted cover that protects your couch. Shield against spills, wow, stop stains, and dirty pet paws and sharp claws. Plus, it's reversible with 2 stylish colors. Guaranteed to fit any couch up to 92 inches or your money back. It even has covers to protect armrests. Machine washable too.
My grandkids destroy everything, but with Couch Coat, my couch is always protected, looking as good as it did the day I bought it.
Get your Couch Coat for just $19.99, and it's reversible in brown and cream, like 2 couch coats for the price of 1. Order right now, and you can double your offer. Get a second Couch Coat. Just pay a separate fee. Order right now.
Call 1-800-943-0825 to get your couch coat. Call now or go to couchcoat.com. Call 1-800-943-0825. That's 1-800-943-0825. Call now.
Call Wonder Windows. Get the news about those high cost, condensating, energy wasting window blues.
Get better windows at better prices. Save $100 on entry doors, $200 on sliding glass doors, and $500 on bay and bow windows. Call now for instant rebates or free triple pane upgrades.
Call Wonder Windows. They'll cure your blues. Stop those high cost, condensating, energy wasting window blues. Yeah.
Capelli Sports Stadium, Rochester, New York, and the home fans rocking out after a home win as the Rhinos get their 4th straight home shutouts. And let's get right to the highlights. Albert Munoz of this one as 2 of the hottest teams in the Eastern Conference met for the very first time in USL. And we start with the stats. So take a look at that, Albert.
Well, as we mentioned now in the break, possession was definitely a game changer for Ottawa. Rochester, exceptional throughout the entire game. Did slow down a little bit in the second half, as you see here in the percentages, 46% here on Ottawa. They did increase their possession. They brought more energy. They had more of a chance to capitalize on goals. As you see on the shots, they had more shots than Rochester. Obviously, efficiency over quantity. That goal that Rochester scored by Felix, exceptional header goal. But on the possession side, there was a little bit more chance from Ottawa, but Rhinos did come on top.
Let's get to our save of the match. It's brought to you by Key Bank.
Conrado Forbes here on the ball, very, very dangerous through the entire game. But you see a dangerous chance here by Rochester, and exceptional trap here by Irving.
As Irving has no problem with the sun and the glare. And now the moment of the match, brought to you by Excelis. And why not? The game's only goal from Ryan Felix.
We all have to agree. Exceptional set piece. Great Conrado Forbes corner kick. And then Felix coming in to capitalize with the upper 90 shot. Beautiful executed set piece by Rochester.
Ryan Felix with the Excelis fearless moment of the match.
Great.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this one. A big win for Rochester. You see Bob Lilly firing up the troops. His team is in peak form and climbing up the Eastern Conference table, currently in 4th place in the Eastern Conference standings as they beat Ottawa 1-0. Well, for Albert Munoz, our producer, Aba Ponte, our director, Eddie Suarez, and replay man, Jonathan Telesher, my name is Matt Peterson. Final score from Rochester, the Rhinos 1, Ottawa Fury FC 0.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent from the United Soccer League.